Great, thank you. And welcome everybody to our webcast today. Today we're going to be talking about the cloud for Dynamics GP with PowerGP Online. And let's go ahead and just get started straight away. So let me tell you a little bit about Ingevity. We are the cloud experts. We're also the data experts as well. We work with Dynamics GP, CRM, Power BI, Office 365. We've managed really large deployments on Azure as well as in our private cloud. We have also managed really small deployments with just one user. So we kind of handle pretty much anything that you would actually need. But really our goal at Ingevity is really to give you an experience that is simple. It gives you the information that you need and that you enjoy working with. So that's one of the reasons why, is because we have a lot of passion about Dynamics GP, and that's why we created PowerGP Online. So let's talk about what it is and talk about the cloud and all the things that you'd want to talk to today. Again, like we said in the beginning, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. If there's something you want me to drill into more than happy to do it. You can go ahead and put that in the chat as well. I've worked with Dynamics GP for over 22 years. So there's a lot of knowledge in this brain of mine that is all about Dynamics GP. So we can definitely go about and talk about anything you'd want in this webcast today. So let's talk about PowerGP Online. So PowerGP Online is really just Dynamics GP, but we've added a lot of functionality on top of it. Because we have people who are experts in GP and experts in data and really getting knowledge out of the data, the important data that you have in your system. We've just added things into the product. So let's start at the top. We've added PowerGP Connect. What that is a way that you can talk in the cloud. So it's an API that enables you to be able to connect with other systems. And because in normal cloud applications, you don't necessarily get direct SQL access. We have options for that if you want, but Connect enables you to do that without a gateway. So it makes it a lot easier for your IT team to be able to say yes to different applications. Next, we have PowerGP Mobile. So we've created a mobile app that works on an iPad, and it's basically for an owner or a business leader just to get information. So it's like a read-only app that gives you charts and KPIs and works on an iPad so they can use their device from home. We also have PowerGP Import. Import is similar to like Integration Manager, except for it's designed for the modern world. So it allows you to do bulk imports of information. You can use it to import data from other systems. You can also use it to update information. So what I love about import is that not only do you can import net new information into Dynamics GP, what you can also do is you can update existing data as well. So, and I'll show it to you later on in the webcast today. We've also added exclusive features just to that are only included in PowerGP Online. These are things that our consultants have always wanted, or users that we've had that have asked for things, and we know that Microsoft probably won't add them. Some of them are fairly small, others are a little bit bigger, but even the small ones may be small to create, but it's really, really strategic for people that use Dynamics GP every day. So our goal for the exclusive features are meant for the power user, the person that's in GP all day long, making their lives a lot easier. PowerGP Online also includes bundled ISVs. So, and I'll get into that a little bit as well, but what we've done is made it so then you don't have to pay each individual ISV separately. You can buy it through us, and then they're automatically bundled in. So it just makes your experience a lot easier, and it includes some of the common ones that are out there today. PowerGP Online also includes a GPUG membership. So I've actually had users buy PowerGP Online just because the GPUG membership fees that they were paying, it made sense for them just to kind of move and have it bundled in so they didn't have that separate fee. We also have Power BI. So we've created Power BI. We've created some Power Apps. We're looking at Power Flow as well. So those are some of the things that we're trying to do that just takes you to the next level and takes you to the next generation. We have included, I would almost think we're close to 100 Power BI reports and KPIs and dashboards. So with that, what's nice about it is we did that framework for you. It uses PowerGP Connect. That's how it connects to the data, so you don't need a gateway. And it just makes it a lot easier for you to get knowledge out of your data. So we gave you that base, knowing that every single customer seems to want something slightly different. At least gives you that data connection. It gives you the base reports, and then you can just modify them from there. From a security perspective, next we have single sign-on and multi-factor authentication. So one of the things that is probably a myth is that cloud isn't secure. Cloud is actually more secure than your on-premise solution that you could if you have one today. The reason why is because we have people that's what they do for a living is security and understanding firewalls and understanding networks and those types of things. What we've also done is we've added single sign-on and multi-factor authentication. What multi-factor means is when you're logging in into your environment or logging into Dynamics GP, you're going to have 2 factors to say who you are. So you'll have your regular login with your password, and then you'll get like a text on your phone or a phone call to authenticate that it's actually you. So it just gives you that extra layer of security that is really important nowadays with all the phishing and the hackers and all the bad actors out there. It's really important, so we do offer that as well. And then depending on the edition, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, we do offer free upgrades. So I've worked with customers who have said, I'll take less functionality if I can get a free upgrade that's just included in my fee. So it's just something that could be strategically important for you. But we'll get into that in a little bit. So those are some of the reasons why PowerGP Online it's like no other cloud solution. So it's not just hosting your GP in the cloud or moving your GP into AWS or Azure or something like that, because we offer these other services through your partner. So your partner is still the person that you'd work with, the person that you trust every day. And then we add these extra functionalities behind it. So it's almost like you have 2 companies that are working for you and working with you to give you more value. Okay, so for all of you out there that are interested in paying your employees, we also have HR Payroll Suite that's included with PowerGP Online. So even if you're outsourcing your payroll, this might be something you'd want to look at. It includes all of the Dynamics GP functionality, but we've bundled in integrity data and green shades. So even if you outsource your payroll, there's still probably a part-time or half-time employee that has to work with ADP or whatever payroll company you're working with. There's still work you have to do. And so with these bundles, being able to file and your pay service and file your federal, and it has all 50 states, and having a portal so people can get self-service and download their W-2s, and all of that information and the new functionality that's in integrity data, depending on your location that you're at and your complexities in your payroll, it could be about the same amount of work to bring it in, and it could save you a lot of money. What's cool about this is it's $14 per employee. So the person that does the actual payroll would be a full GP, PowerGP Online user, but each employee for $14, they'd be able to get access to all of this and be able to take your payroll to another level. So now is the time to insource if you're outsourcing or looking at it in a different way. Okay, next, let's talk about PowerGP import. So import, like I said before, it imports bulk transactions. So you can put transactions into an Excel report and it will bulk import them in. What's super cool about this is you can also update information. So several examples around this is you could update, let's say you have a salesperson who leaves your company and you need to change all their accounts to a different salesperson. What you can do is take a smart list, export your customers, and then change the salesperson ID and re-import them in, and I'll update the salesperson. What's awesome about import is that it uses eConnect, so it has the business logic behind it, so it's not going to let you import something that doesn't make sense. It's not going to let you damage your data in any way. So it'll actually give you the error checking, and there are some other products out there that don't necessarily allow you to do that. So let's take a look. So this is Dynamics GP. For those of you who are not familiar, this is the web client version. It is still Dynamics GP. It just looks a little bit different. What's cool about it is my favorite part of the web client is the search option. So when you click the search button, you end up a search. If you type in anything, I typed in cash, it'll give you any window that has the word cash. It includes any ISVs that are dexterity based or inside of Dynamics GP itself. It'll list those as well. So one of the reasons I like it is because there's some windows that I might use maybe once a year. I know that they're there and I know what they do. I just can't really remember how to get to them. So in here, I can just type the word and then it'll pull it up for me. So it makes it a lot easier. If you have any turnover or you have new people, this is your solution so they don't have to get trained. All they have to do is learn the search window, learn how to type some things in, and they'll be able to get what they need and when they need it and what they want. So here's like the cash area. You'll notice like here I could pull up a cash flow calendar. I could pull up cash receipts. But we're going to move on to this and let me show you something else. So here, when I pull up transaction, you'll see there's lots of things that have transaction in them, but we're going to pull up general transaction entry. So with this, you'll notice that there's a new thing called import. So what we've done is we've added an import button to the place that you would normally go to enter the transaction. So it makes it really easy for you to navigate of where you would import something in. So in this case, if I'm going to do journal entries, all I have to do is choose a file and like you choose, there's an Excel file that you would do. And then we'll do like accounts. So in this case, if I have problems, what it's going to do is say like this, no batch ID column in file, see all messages. It'll tell me all the problems that I have with that file. So if I'm going to do this, I'm going to choose a different file. And so we'll do journal entries. So then now in this case, you'll notice it looks at it and it gives me my green check. So that's that eConnect in the background saying, did it work? Did it not work? Does this make sense? And, trying to make sure that you don't make any mistakes. What's really cool about this is you can also edit this information. So, let's say I want to change this reference, I could just change it right here. It does not go back and change your Excel file. So if you want an audit trail of everything you imported, you'll want to go back to the Excel file, change it, and then re-choose file and re-import in. But you can do it just right from here. If I click, like if I change something, I can click revalidate it, and then it's going to re-look at the business logic and make sure that I changed something that makes sense. So let's say in here, if I change something like this and I click revalidate, it'll re-look at it, and then it'll say, oh, that's not a valid account number. You can't import that in. So it does that for you. We could change this. If I click import, it's just going to import this journal entry in. We include up here, we have templates. So we have Excel templates with the different files that you can import data into. We also have samples if you want to play around with it as well. Just if you want like your own little sandbox and you want to get used to it before you actually go into a production mode, you can do that as well. One of the really good examples of this that a lot of people do is if you have any, if you're in the business of selling things like items, so you have an inventory that you sell, probably the biggest hurdle you have is if you're going to do a major price change and you have to do your price levels. You can export. We have a smart list. I'll click on that, that we've created automatically for you. So we have several smart lists that we've created, and we have one that's for your price list. It exports it out in the format that you would want it. You can change your Excel report right from there, and change all your price levels, and you can import it back in. So if any of you have done that inside of GP, you should be clapping right now, because you can do it super, super easily inside of Dynamics GP. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so these are the current imports that we have. We're constantly adding imports on a regular basis. So if one of these isn't what you would like, or maybe there's a field that you want that's different, we're more than willing to modify this and change it. PowerGP Online is on a journey. We're on the journey to the cloud. We're on a journey to give people an awesome experience. And with that journey, it's almost like a team effort between us and your partner and you, kind of figuring out what's the best place to go. So if there's something that's missing, we more than welcome getting feedback from that. Okay, Connect. So Connect, for those of you who are like IT technical people in the crowd today, it is a RESTful JSON API. Is how we connect to it. For those of you who are more accounting people, this is the way that you can connect to your data. In very simple terms, IT normally, if you have like an on-premise GP or if you're using a different cloud, you usually have to set up a gateway. Gateways are trickery. They're kind of finicky. IT people don't like them. We get rid of that. So it makes it easier for you guys to be able to get what you want from an accounting or finance perspective without adding an extra layer of difficulty. So it makes it super simple to expose things. You can use Connect just to view data. You can use it to write back data. So it could be an integration. A few examples of that is we're working on an integration with Expensify. So traditionally in the GP world, like 10 years ago or 20 years ago, we had a network of ISVs, and you kind of had to usually work in that framework of the ISVs that we had. Now with this PowerGP Connect, you can kind of open your eyes to different things. You could do an integration to PayPal. You could do an integration to pretty much any online app that you'd want to do with this Connect integration piece. And so it just kind of opens you up to different things. So Expensify is a expense report tool. It's super cheap. It's super simple. It doesn't do a whole lot of other stuff. It doesn't do any accounting. So what you could do is, what we're looking at is an integration just into AP. So people can do their expenses. They can do the whole approval process in Expensify, and then integrate it into GP, and you could pay them through GP, or you could pay them in Expensify and do both transactions and import them in. It's just one simple example of being able to work a lot differently, because there's all these cloud apps that are out there today, and they're fairly cheap, and they have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of users that use them. So they're stable and they work. So that's why one of the reasons why we built PowerGP Connect is to be able to just connect to different things. So the cloud is your world now. We also integrate PowerGP Connect to E1 Smart Connect. So if you're already using Smart Connect, depending on how you're using it, we could use that with PowerGP Connect too. So a lot of it depends on your technical requirements, but it is an option. Okay, let's talk about these, and then I'm going to show you two demos rather than going back and forth and back and forth. Like I said before, we created Power BI reports. We have 6 different content packs. You download them, they're free. You use PowerGP Connect to connect the Power BI reports to your GP data. So it makes it super, super simple to get up and running quickly. But again, this is kind of your base, and I'll show it to you. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's go to connect. So connect, you'll notice it's a separate login because it's an API. So you're not logging into GP to do it. So people that are using connect don't have to be like a full Dynamics GP user. So this is just like a connection platform. So in here, I can see my objects list. You'll notice there's lots and lots and lots of objects. I can keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So we've created a lot of these just out of the box for you. What's cool about this is we have the ability to create a new object. So let's say you create a custom view. If you're getting really into reporting and really wanting to take your data and truly get knowledge out of it and truly predict the future and help it run your business, chances are you're going to end up creating a view at some point. We've created several on our own that you'd get access to, but you could create yours. To create an endpoint into a view that you create, all you have to do is name it, tell it the SQL name, and boom, you have a view. So you'll see in this list, like we have like accounts. We have, which is a view that comes out of the box with just Dynamics GP. So we have a view to there. We've also created several others. You'll also notice that we'll have some of these that are stored procedures. These are ones that will write back to Dynamics GP. So that's how you can go back and forth. So you can view information, you can also write back as well. And so for those of you that are more technical, the way this works is we have a JSON object. You throw it the object, you throw it the data, and it interprets it, and then it'll put it in. With that, it's for most of these, it's a line of code about this much. So that's kind of the basic required fields that you have to have. Granted, you can import into every single field in GP, which is a lot of them. ISVs or customizations that you create, it would be really fairly simple for you to create your own endpoints to write back into those as well. Any custom entity that you happen to have. So it just gives you this framework that enables you to just do more and do it in a different way. So let me show you an example of this. So since we've been talking about accounts so far throughout this whole presentation, I just copied this endpoint for accounts. So if I go into Excel, I'm gonna go get data from the web, because really all that is it's just URL. It's just it's a web address. So we're gonna say let's get data from the web. We're gonna paste that in. Now what it's doing is it's saying, okay, does this person have access to be able to view accounts inside of Dynamics GP? So it does have a layer of security. That layer of security is outside of Dynamics GP. So when you think about your security layers that you would have, if you think about your security layers that you would have inside of GP, like with the role-based security, that is, let's get this so you can see it correctly. That is a different security. Okay, we can do it. Come on. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see it from here. So this is a list. We're going to convert it to table, I hope. Okay, let's go back. Okay, my Excel is deciding not to work, but I can talk you through it. We'll see if it, yeah, it looks like it's hung. Anyway, I can convert this to a table, and then with 2 more clicks after that, I could have my accounts listed from Dynamics GP inside of Excel. And then now I have a refreshable Excel report. So it's using that endpoint, that URL, it's using that to get the data and put it into Excel. I could use that same type of URL to put it into Power BI in eConnect or in Smart Connect from E1. There's the data connection would be that same endpoint. So it works similarly for all of those things. If you're going to do an integration, like I said, like with Expensify or PayPal or something like that, that would be more of a developer experience. You do still use that endpoint to do the write back. It would just be on the development side that you'd write where it's automatic integration, where this would be getting data and putting it in. So with this, once I do it this process I was going to show you one time, it'll actually have a real-time connection. And so that's what makes it really, really simple on your IT team. Okay. So next we're going to talk about Power BI. Okay, so here's an example of a Power BI report that we've created. What's cool about Power BI, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, Power BI is the next generation of business intelligence from Microsoft. And so what that means is most of their research and development is going to be in Power BI when it comes to reporting. So they're going to be adding all the cool, whiz-bang cool stuff into this product. So if you're looking at any type of reporting project or anything based on getting data out of Dynamics GP, I try to do it in Power BI if possible. To be pretty honest and very frank, it's not all there. It doesn't have everything. It doesn't have all the functionality that like SQL reporting services would have, but it does have a lot of pretty cool stuff in it. So if you're going to look at any major reporting, new reporting, I would do it in Power BI if possible. If you already have people that understand SRS and you're using that wholeheartedly, I would not abandon that at all, because it's a really good tool. It has a lot of functionality. If you have people that really, really understand it and you've already invested in that, I wouldn't abandon that. But if you're going to do net new like KPIs, charts, and graphs, I would definitely look at Power BI. The areas that it tends to kind of fall down a little bit is if you want to replace Management Reporter or FRX if you're using that, and you want to replace and do like your financial reports in Power BI. You can do it. I've seen customers do that. They just usually end up looking a little bit different, or it can be labor intensive to do. Not saying it's not possible, because I've worked with clients who have done it before. It's just not as easy. If you want to do like a trial balance with like filters on the top, like you would probably have in like a SQL reporting services report, that's also an area in Power BI that you might find it lacking. So I'm not saying this is the only tool to use, but since this is the future that Microsoft is setting, kind of makes sense to use it if at all possible. So let me kind of give you a preview of it, and we can talk through some of that. The first thing I want to call out is ask a question about your data. So Power BI has artificial intelligence kind of built in. So you can use natural language the way you'd normally talk about it. So you could say something like, what is, and it'll try to think, okay, wait, we're not able to find a good answer. Here's a few suggestions. So what it does is it tries to interpret what you're going to be asking for, and then you can just click on this, and then you could click on one of these if that's what you're looking for. What is the current balance? So you can click on that, and then it'll say, oh, there's your current balance. So it kind of just gives you that ability to be able to ask questions about the data that you're looking at. So hopefully, if you design a good KPI, what the basics of it is within 10 seconds, an owner or business leader or someone like that should be able to look at this and be able to get what they need. And that's the goal of it. So you don't want it overpowering, but you want to have it where they can be like, oh, okay, I have an overview of my company information. But being able to ask this question like this is super nice, because then that's the question that they're going to ask you if you're the power user, the person that's the gatekeeper of all the data and really understands it. It's going to save you a lot of time if they can ask their own questions and be able to make sense of this. The way this works is that you can ask it anything of the data set that you have in the report. So it's not like you can ask it, if, like in this case, I have an overview report pulled up. If I wanted, I have another one. This one's a financial report that we can load. Again, this is financials, so you can tell that it's a little bit different design. Just kind of meant for more of like a person in finance or like a CFO type level person, where it has more numbers with dollars and cents in it. But I can only ask financial questions in this financial insights report that we built. What's cool about this is, though, I am also able to drill down. So for those of you who are inside of Dynamics GP every day, and you know, charts and graphs are great, but maybe they're not the right thing for you. What we've done is we've added things that actually go into the detail. So this is an example of a Power BI report that, you know, a person inside a GP might use like every single day. You know, balances by period and pretty common. You know, we have different tabs that go across the bottom. Again, you can always stay at this type of level too with the charts and graphs. So this is PowerBI.com. So what's super cool about this, if you want to just play around and get started with it, go to PowerBI.com. You can sign in there. It's free. You can download the desktop version of it. And for no charge. So you can actually play around with this, get used to it, and use it without any fees. The fee part comes in like with this PowerBI.com. If you want to share reports like this and you want to actually publish them to the world or publish them to other people in your organization, that's where Power BI starts costing money. It's fairly cheap. If you're using Office 365, it's pretty easy. You can use the desktop version. So I'm going to bring that over. So here's like a desktop version of it. I'll just bring up a report so you can take a look at it. So here's an introduction to Power BI. It's one of the classes that I've taught, with being able to build like almost a P&L and be able to build some of this stuff out. To use the desktop, there is no fee. So some people that I've worked with, they want to avoid cost if possible. With that, then they can use this desktop version. The drawback is if you're the harnesser of the data, what's really nice is for you to be able to get the data, get through your month end, verify the numbers, make sure everything's inputted, and then publish it out. And so they always have the right version of the truth. If everyone has their own version of the desktop, then they can click refresh whenever they want. And you know, maybe they're doing it before year end is done and they're not getting the right view of the data. So it gives you more control if you're going to actually do the pay for and be able to publish it. But it could be, there's ways around it. I've quite a few clients I've worked with, what they've done is taken this and have like a network share or a OneDrive or a location, and kind of built rules and kind of rules out of trust, just saying when I put it out there and it's completed or published or whatever naming you want to do, you can have it out there to say, okay, here's the right version of the truth, here is the completed report. You create it, you save it, and then you publish it out there with a date and so forth. So there are ways around it, but it's fairly cheap just to buy Power Power BI. So it all depends on what you want to do, but it is a pretty cool tool, and it gives you a lot of functionality. What's nice about Power BI is you can put GP data in here, but you can also put data from any data source. So if you have legacy systems, you have other SQL databases somewhere, you can kind of mash it all together within Power BI. So it can give you that next generation of reporting. You can also get data from the web. So there are tons of sources out there to get public information. A few of the examples of that is like the SEC has data out there. So if you want to compare your business to other businesses in the same industry, you're able to do that. The CDC has free data. Weather.com has data. OSHA has data. So, I mean, there's all these sources of data that you can get, and it's free. Where then an example of this was a customer that Ingevity worked with, that they were growers. They were a network of farmer growers, like a conglomerate, and they used OSHA data to predict the crop output based on humidity and weather, and lots of different points where they took historical OSHA data to determine the future, and it helped them predict and help predict what the farmers should be growing in their fields based on the climate and things like that. So it just gives you that open world of things that you could do that really I never thought would probably be possible in my timeline, at least. I didn't think it would be possible, and it is, and there's people that are doing it today. So you can get a lot more out of your data. I would recommend, if you're going to go down that route, there's a lot of training out there, just training on how Power BI works, because when you look at this, it may look a little intimidating. There's all these visualizations and filters and this. There's lots of training. There's some that's free. There's some that's for pay for. There's a Empower to Learn site that has some training that's pretty good. But when you think about this, a lot of it is getting your data into Power BI. Once you get your data into Power BI, creating like a report like this, creating charts and graphs are pretty simple because they have these visualizations. You can do filters. It's getting the data in there that's usually the hardest part. And I've always recommended it's probably best to like go to your partner and pay for a little bit of time for them, because they know GP and they'll know the table structure a lot better. Get the data you want into Power BI, and then you can play with it from there. It'll probably save you a lot of money and a lot of heartache and frustration. Again, if you want to, there are classes and you can learn it. It just takes some time. So a lot of it depends on how far you want to go. Okay, anyway, I could talk about Power BI like all day long. I've been known to do it before, but let's move on because I'm over talking and we're behind. So let's keep going. So PowerGP Online also includes JET reports. So we have over 200 report templates because in an online shared multi-tenant environment, management reporter doesn't work in that way. We do have PowerGP Online editions that does management reporter works just fine. But if you want in the cheaper scale and you want to do a truly online service, management doesn't work. So JET is the solution that we've ended with. And so there's a free version and there's a pay for version. The free version does lack. It's free for a reason, but there is a pay for version as well. It's pretty reasonable, but we've created a bunch of report templates for you. So again, to try to make it super easy if you wanted to move. And we also have online trainings that are available if you want to move to JET reports. Okay, we just had a release this fall with PowerGP Online. Here's a few of the things that we've added. We added a reset batch utility. So for those of you who want to go to our public cloud, where you don't get direct access to your SQL database because you're sharing hardware, which brings your cost way down. We added this so then you don't have to reset your batches, which is usually something you have to do in SQL. We've also added a few things from our experts to make your life a lot easier. I won't go through these. If any of you who are on the webcast today are interested, you can definitely get this PowerPoint and we'll go through all the different things that have changed. PowerGP Connect is definitely on a journey. So we've added a lot of endpoints already. We have plans to add more and more and more. These in our latest release, these are the ones that we did. These are the ones that write back. So they're the ones that would create new cash receipts or create AP transactions or bank transactions or journal entries. Those are the things that we added recently. So in this evolution, our goal is really to keep it familiar. So you can have your remote desktop, you can have database access if you want, but we also want to give you the option to be able to work in a different way if you want. We're making it flexible. We support all ISVs depending on the edition. We support those cloud-to-cloud integrations. And then probably number one top of mind, because 2019 might be the year of hackers. It seems like there's been a lot in the last couple of years of phishing attacks and hackers stealing credit cards and personal information and all of that. I don't think it's going to go away. And so we've tried to double down on our security. So we have a self-service password reset, and then we've added multi-factor authentication. So from a security perspective, one of the things with PowerGP Online that we've invested into is every year we hire hackers to see how far they can get into our environment, make sure it's secure, find any ways that they can penetrate in, and then see if they could get in, how far could they get. So we really try to make sure that we have the securest environment imaginable. And we have it tested at least on a yearly basis just to make sure. And then we've also added multi-factor authentication into that. That makes it where if you have people that put their password in their drawer at their desk or put it underneath their desk, or they maybe have it wide open just right there on their monitor, that's fine, because if you're using multi-factor, they'll log in with their password and they'll also get a phone call or a text message. And so it's an extra layer of security. It also is, I forgot my cell phone at home and now I can't log into GP. It's something you want to think about. But nowadays in the world of the web, it's a really interesting thing to think about. Okay, so we have new editions that have recently released. So we're going to go through this because I'm kind of running out of time. So let's talk about the editions and just talk through it. Okay, so basic edition, it's $99 for a full Dynamics GP user. It is web client only. So the web client I showed you earlier, that's the client that you would have to use. Your traditional desktop client isn't available in this edition. You do not get direct SQL database access. So you're sharing with others. It's truly multi-tenanted. It includes free upgrades. It includes bundled ISVs like Rockton SmartBill. It includes a GPUG membership and all the cool stuff I've shown you already. And then Jet Basics, which is the free version of Jet, would be included in that for your financial reports. Standard is the next one up. These two are our two public cloud options. No SQL database access, web client only. But at this price point, it kind of makes a lot of sense to take a look at. Again, with this, basic versus standard. Basic, you just get GL, AP, AR, bank rec, budgeting, EFT. If you need item numbers, then you're moving to standard. So standard would have sales order processing, purchase order, inventory. It would also include more advanced functionality and financials like intercompany, fixed assets, multi-currency, and so forth. I have details in this slide deck if you're interested to find out exactly what modules are in each one. You can get those differences. We're just not going to have time today to go through all of that, but you can definitely get that. The other difference in standard is you get Smart List Builder and Extender as ISV products in here. These are subscription prices. So the way that this would work is your yearly 1-year maintenance renewal, like your big fee that you have once a year, you would stop paying that and then you'd pay this per user per month instead. So you'll want to talk to your partner because it all depends on what you're paying currently and when you bought and what version and all that to see if this would make sense for you. Both of these options include free upgrades. There are restrictions. So when you think about all ISV products that are available, there's limited ISVs in these two, especially when they're like the dexterity ISVs or ISVs you'd access inside of GP. You're limited. If it's an ISV like Smart Connect that's sitting outside, then you're able to use those. You just have to buy them separately and then we use PowerGP Connect to connect them in. So there's some caveats and restrictions, so it all depends on what you need. But at these price points, it kind of makes sense to look at if it makes sense for you. So next, premium. Premium includes the web client and also the desktop client. You get direct SQL database access. It's a private cloud. So you have your own SQL database. So you have your own control over that. So it gives you a lot more control. The price point is higher. It would come down a little bit if you wanted to do a premium edition and do web client only because it's less hardware for us. With premium though, this opens you up to any ISV that you'd want. It also opens up to you to do more cloud options. So if you wanted, if you have a legacy system or you have some other add-on that you want, or you want to host your website or anything like that, you can add more hardware onto this one. So if you needed a dedicated IIS server, you could do that in here. You just wanted another server for other purposes and just almost like renting a server, we could do that as well in this premium edition. So this is the one where if you want to be set up to be super flexible and be able to change and do almost anything, this is where you're going to want to be. But it all depends on kind of what you're looking at. You'll notice at the bottom here, it does not include upgrades because since you can put any ISV and any other product you want in there, we can't control that. If that's something that's very sensitive to you, it could be something that we could work. We've worked with other partners that have done like a bundle where you pay a little bit extra every month and then upgrades are included. But that's more of an a la carte concierge type quote that you would get. But if that's something you want to do, I worked with several nonprofits and they're very interested in that because they have to get their budget approved by a board of directors. So if they can have a budget for the whole year that includes an upgrade and they can get it approved all at one time, then they're not begging for money or trying to get separate approval to do an upgrade. So things like that, it might factor in where that could be something that we could work on. So premium, and then we have premium plus. Premium plus, the only difference is if you know Dynamics GP licensing, is this includes the extended pack. If you aren't familiar with that, what that means is the advanced distribution modules, manufacturing, field service, project accounting. If you need any of those more advanced type functionalities, then you'd be at the premium plus. Same type of scenario. Jet reports, the pay for version of Jet reports is included in standard, premium, and premium plus. All four of these are subscription licensing. So it's pay per month per user. So per user per month, these are full user pricing in these. This is where you would remove your yearly maintenance plan and you'd move to this and you just pay per month. If you are not current on your maintenance plan with Microsoft, you can move to subscription straight away with no penalties. So if you move off of maintenance, there's usually a very large fee to get back onto maintenance from Microsoft. You can go to subscription and waive those fees, and you keep your same licensing and your same modules you own and your same authorized account and all of that. Okay, so next, for some of you, it won't make sense to go to these subscription licenses. So depending on when you bought and the price point and what your list price is and your yearly maintenance, it may not make a lot of sense for you to move. So that's why we offer a bring your own license plan. You still get the PowerGP Connect and mobile and import and all of that cool functionality. So you still get all of the stuff that we've built, but everything else you have to bring with you. So it doesn't include any of the ISVs. It doesn't include the GPUG membership. It doesn't include like Notice credit card processing or any of that. It's similar to Premium Plus, where you get direct database access, and you'd get your desktop client and all of that. You would just have to bring your license with you. And so you would still pay your yearly maintenance to Microsoft. You'd bring it with. So any ISVs, you have to go buy it from them and you'd put it on this environment. And then this $159 price point is per user per month. That's at a starting point. So depending on the ISVs you bring in, some ISVs require dedicated IIS servers, which costs extra. Some require a lot more power, a lot more RAM, and they're just labor intensive. That's going to cost more. So a lot of that depends. So think of this as a concierge, a la carte. Depending on what you bring into the cloud, your price could change. If you're fairly simple, it probably will stay at that $159. So a lot of it depends. It's something that you'll want to talk to your partner and have a conversation about. Okay, so we're not going to have time to go through all of what's in every edition. So if you want, you can get this PowerPoint deck and you can go through it on your own. And then, of course, through your partner, available for any questions that you would have at any time. But this is the modules that are in the basic edition. In the standard edition, here's the additional modules. A few things to kind of call out. Basic versus standard is like fixed assets, refund checks, cash flow management. Like when I did that demo and I typed in cash, that cash flow calendar, you'd have to be on standard to get that. A few that like electronic reconcile and lockbox processing would be in the standard edition, as well as, of course, the SOP, POP, and inventory. Okay, so we're not going to go through all of this because we just don't have time, and I want to make sure we have time for the questions. So we're going to just go through all of these. Because I want to touch on this very, very quickly, and then I'll open it up to any questions that we have for the group today. So I talked about basic, I was $99. That's a full user. We do offer limited users and platform users. A limited user, you get into Dynamics GP, you can get to smart lists, you can get to inquiry windows, and you can get to reports. You cannot edit data, you cannot enter transactions, you cannot update customer records or any other master records at all. It's $19 per user per month. What's cool about this is if you have people that are casual users, they log in probably just to look up information, and you really don't want them editing anything anyway. You may be able to save some money if they're already a full user and then bring them down to a limited user. We also have a platform user. It's $4 in the basic edition. The platform user is like the Connect user. It's the user that's just going to connect to data. They do not get access to Dynamics GP. So they cannot get into GP at all. And then, of course, we have our HR payroll suite, which I told you was $14 per employee. So standard, here's the pricing for that. So again, with standard, basic and standard is public cloud, web client only, but you do have the limited user as well as the platform. Premium where it gets a little more complicated. So I know it might seem overwhelming, but we wanted to give you that power to choose. A lot of cloud options, you have to fit to them. Like you have to pay what they want you to pay. You have to work the way they want you to work. They put you in a box and you have to stay in there. What we're really trying to do with PowerGP Online is saying, well, there could be different sizes of boxes. So with this, if you want to go with premium and you want full user with your regular desktop client, that's going to be $249. If you want to do web client only, you could save $50 per user per month and do web client only. If that's something you're interested in, we definitely would want to talk about it because people that have used Dynamics GP forever love their desktop client, and it takes a little bit for them to get used to their web client. In my opinion, for $50 per user per month, it may be worth for them to have 1 to 2 weeks of a little bit of pain to get used to web client, because that's going to give you a long-term cost savings. And it's a lot more flexible because with web client, it's just a browser. When I did the demo earlier, you saw I was just in Chrome. I was just in a browser. So they can log into web client on an iPad. They can log into it on their personal machine at home because nothing is installed on their local computer. So from an IT perspective, it really enables them to say yes. So you can be on vacation on your iPad and need to log in for something. As long as you have an internet connection, you'd be able to log in. And it's also secure because we handle all of that for you. So it's something to think about. Limited user, the same type thing. If you're going to do web client only, your price point is just going to be much, much cheaper. In the premium option, we do offer a self-service user. Self-service user is enabling your users to be able to do get access to payroll information inside of Dynamics GP. Okay, let's move on because we are pretty much out of time. And then here's the option for the bring your own license. So they do go down as well. Okay, so we're gonna keep moving. If you want to get all this, of course you can. Okay, so if you're a Dynamics GP customer, your path to the cloud is really going to PowerGP Online. And the reason why is you get to keep all your data. There's a lot of cloud options out there. They usually sell you a very pretty picture of going to the cloud. And then at the end, you find the gotcha that your data doesn't come across and you're restricted. And so you get to keep your data, you get to keep your ISVs. You can basically take your current solution you currently have and just move it to the cloud. So it just gives you all that cool cloudy functionality that I already showed you and keep all the strengths that you have today. So you just don't have to worry about Dynamics GP again. In here, I had just a last few couple tips. So probably the biggest thing is a lot of people are like, okay, I'm on board. I like this idea. I think cloud might be something I want to do. For IT pros, here's why it's important. Security, I guarantee you, we are going to be more secure than any on-premise environment that you would have. I actually did a webcast about a month ago, a whole hour just about cybersecurity. And so it's just something that it's just going to be more secure that way. So it's going to take a lot of pressure off of you got ransomware and you're to blame and things like that. So it takes that where then you can actually focus on strategic things for your company rather than focusing on the inner workings of Dynamics GP. We do backups, we validate them. What I have for all IT people is I do backups, everyone does. but when was the last time you tested it? Actually restart it and had someone in finance log in and make sure that it actually really worked. And we also have uptime guarantees. For accountants, a lot of what I think you get out of it is that we have GP experts, we have data experts, so we go the extra mile to give you new innovative options that you can take advantage of. And then also you can access it from anywhere. So it just makes your life like a lot simpler. And then compliance as well. And then if you're a business leader, I think a lot of what you'll get out of PowerGP Online is better analytics. So using your data to turn it into knowledge to help you run your business is key. It's going to help you manage your cash, manage your profitability, and just make your people more productive so they can actually focus on helping run the business rather than taking care of all the systems that support it. Because we'll take care of all the hard stuff for them, so then they're able to do other things. So with that, let's move on, see if there's any questions. I haven't seen any in the chat as we've been moving along. So if there are any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I know we're at the end of our time today. So if we'll give it a few more seconds to see if anyone types anything in, but I'd like to thank you for your time today. I hope this was informative. If you have any questions, please go to your partner and we can set some time up to talk in more detail about anything that you want to talk about. But I don't believe there are any questions, so I think we will call it a day. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pam. Have a good day, everyone.